Welcome to Unfolding with KK. I'm KK, and this is a space for honest conversations about becoming through change, challenge, and the moments that quietly redefine us. Here we talk about the chapters behind the highlight reel, the pivots, the growth, and the choices that build a life you truly love. Let's unfold together. All right, so I'm super excited to have my sister Casey on today. This is I've been really excited to sit down and talk with you. Obviously, we talk all of the time.
Yep.
Lots and lots of times, probably a day. Obviously, we're sisters, but we don't have the typical, I think, sister relationship in the fact that we have had a business together. We've worked in different capacities over the years, and so it's a little bit different, I think, than the average person in a sibling relationship, of course, unless you work with your sibling.
True.
So that would change it.
Yes.
So we became moms around the same time. We're only 2 years apart. Even though I am older than you, I think that I've learned a lot from you. And so the whole point of this podcast is to, I think, shed some light behind like the highlight reels that we see on social media, the truth behind it all. And, I think also encourage people to keep growing, to keep changing. And so I really can't think of anyone better to talk about change, reinvention, never giving up, grit than you.
Thank you.
So definitely have taught me tons and tons, and I'm sure you will continue to teach me. So to kick it off, do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. Well, I'm 43 years old. I can't believe I'm saying that.
I'm 45.
Yep. Obviously, we born and raised in Midlothian, Virginia. I'm a mom. I have a 9-year-old daughter, Allie, who is my life. So if you do follow me on social media, like that's it. Like she's an everything. She's everything to me. I'm married to Josh Klemmer. He is a market leader at Movement Mortgage, and I recently just joined back into the lending world, which I'm super excited about. I know we'll talk about it. Been in real estate and mortgage since 2006, so I can't believe I've said that because we were talking about coming down to the studio and Rockets Landing and how none of this stuff was here when we started selling real estate. So it's really cool to see Richmond evolve over the last couple decades. I don't know. Do you want to start asking me questions? 'Cause
Sure.
I could just go on and on. I mean, I like to travel and eat, and I like to have a lot of fun.
No doubt. No doubt. So, you are somebody that is like fiercely loyal, a phenomenal friend to have, obviously a phenomenal family member to have, always someone in the people that you care about and love's corner firmly. You are someone that is, I think, really, I don't know how to say it without it. It's something you have a character trait I wish that I'm still working on developing, and that is you are not afraid to be who you are. You are 100%. You hear this word all the time. I think in different business training and in social media and marketing about being, transparent and being authentic. But
Yeah.
you've been authentic before the term was a catchphrase and a. Where do you think that comes from?
I don't. When you say it, and I know that honesty is like such a huge pillar in my world. It's everything, and I don't. I've had, growing up having not great, boyfriend relationships. I mean, most people have. So, I don't know if it stemmed from that because I think it was even before, but honesty is huge for me.
Yeah.
And I don't know, like I might need to go to therapy over that to figure out where that does stem from. But And I'm just completely honest with myself. And that's probably why I'm super comfortable with making changes.
Yeah.
Because if it doesn't feel authentic to me or right, or I'm not the best version of myself, I'm going to pivot and go find that. So the honesty piece is just huge for me. And I think the loyalty comes with that too, where I, I believe so much in human beings and I love people. I think that's why I'm in the sales industry is you have to really like people.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe you don't, but I do. And I love people's stories.
Yes.
And so if I am friends with you, I want to know everything about you. I want to get in the weeds with you and I'm going to be there for you. So that's, I don't know. I don't know where that comes from. I don't know if that's a middle child thing of wanting to assimilate and be okay with whatever situation. I'm not quite sure. It's a great question, but I know that that's a huge character trait, and I do love that about myself. I, I, I wish other people could just find that because it is so freeing to just be who you are.
Yeah, I mean,
And there's some things that I still am working on, that I want to be even more all right, no, this is, or maybe even softer versions of it, because I know that sometimes I'm just brutally honest and I need to work on that, because that's also not the best way to communicate. It's true. It is true. Might have a little version of Tourette's, but that's something I can totally work on.
I don't think anyone would ever question where they stand with you.
True. Yeah.
Which is a refreshing place to be when you're in any sort of friendship, relationship, business relationship with somebody. I know where I stand with you at all times, which to me gives me a lot of it gives you flat footing isn't the right way to describe it. It gives you lots and lots of solid ground to stand on.
Yeah.
When and you're not reading into.
Maybe that's what it is too. Maybe I don't feel like other people are that.
Yeah.
I'm always trying to figure out what do they mean by that? So I just know if I am just hey, this is how I feel, or that came across wrong, or you hurt my feelings, but I'm getting better about communicating it that way. But I think it's because I haven't received it, maybe, is what my
Sure.
brain is telling me that, okay, well, if you can be honest and, whatever it is in real estate, or if we're talking about mom and
Right.
I can just relate, I guess.
So it's kind of putting more out into the world what you
I think
wish was coming
Yeah,
back.
I think the psychology is probably that way, right?
Yes.
We always think that way, so yeah.
What do you think? All right, so as sisters, and you and I obviously in business we have similar friends, similar businesses. What do you think is maybe one of the biggest misconceptions of us?
Of us?
Yeah.
I briefly read that, and I think the biggest takeaway is everyone thinks I'm older. I was like, I don't know how to take that. But I think it's just because I'm taller and I wore my makeup, and I still do. And
Probably more assertive.
that's
Yeah.
fair. That's fair. Yeah, I definitely will tell you, you're softer about that. You get to it in a softer way, a more KK way.
Yeah.
And then I just have to say it like at dinner the other night. Now, granted, you don't drink anymore, and I
Right.
do, so
Right.
loose lips, Get 2 glasses of wine in me, and I'm going to really tell you.
That's okay. It's a good thing to be really, really transparent.
Yeah, I think that's fair. If you're talking about business, I can probably be a little bit more assertive. But
So, you and I got into business when we were, very, very early in our 20s.
yeah,
And now we're in our early to mid 40s. And, it's kind of, you see so many of the younger folks in real estate coming out and really making a big splash.
yeah.
Social media is a huge vehicle for that, podcast, all of this sort of stuff.
Yeah.
There's so much more. What would you tell yourself, your 23, however old you were when you got into the business? What would you tell yourself if you could go back? What would you say to her starting out in real estate?
I don't know. I love not knowing anything because you don't know the mistakes you're making. And I love watching the young agents and the young loan officers and any young person in this industry because it's tough. Number one, it's hard, and they inspire me, and I'm sure you, because this is why we're sitting here
Definitely
doing a podcast. And so I would probably not change anything just because I didn't know what I didn't know, and I was ultra confident, and I probably would have said, Casey, save more money. Don't spend it all, because that's what we did when we were young, and never in a million years had I received a commission or a check with commas before. I mean, before that I was making $30,000 a year as an executive assistant, and after taxes my paycheck was probably like, I don't know, $900 every 2 weeks. Like it I had never seen 3,000 or 5, because back in the day when we're selling in the early 2000s, I mean, the sales price was what, 120, 130,000?
We were under 200,000.
Yeah. So, I mean, but I would have saved more, and probably had bought real estate earlier. That's a huge one that I wish I had really focused on, and maybe had gone to like an investment class earlier. So if anyone that's young out there, especially when you don't have a lot of expenses when you're super young.
Yes.
You haven't, maybe, but I mean, I didn't have a mortgage then. I was renting, and I had a little Honda Accord. There was a $200 car payment. So if I had really just saved and bought a house really early on, I think that would have been the advice I would have told myself.
Yeah.
At 23 years old.
Invest in the actual business that we so firmly believe in.
Yeah, I just invested in a lot of the bar scenes in Richmond. So
I've invested in a lot of clothing.
Yeah, clothes.
We
did clothes, trips, food, shoes.
So, so you've had a really interesting education and career path. So you're somebody who went back and got their MBA as an adult. You worked in DC. You worked in government contracts.
Yep.
You got your top secret clearance. You went into real estate. You went into mortgages. You worked for the federal government. You came back into real estate, and it's all been great to you. It's been a career that has, I think, a lot of similarities. What led you to, well, let's talk about this, because, when we're talking about people's lives unfolding, people continuing to stay in momentum, continuing to keep going and pushing themselves, what do you think? I've heard a great, I watched it. It was a great podcast with Mel Robbins, and they're talking about how every child has a different set of, even though we all have the same parents, we have a different childhood because of birth order, all sorts of different things that go on. And I believe that.
Yeah.
Casey and I are one of 4 kids. And when we sit down and talk to each other, we all have really similar but very different experiences. But to get back to, that like desire, that grit, that constant like reaching for something more and more, like where do you think that comes from?
Yeah, I think a lot of it is because I'm not done, you're not done.
No.
I'm growing to something that I really want to grow into, and I think you learn from each of these jobs you have. And sometimes if you just, anytime that I have changed, it's because out of necessity, or it's outgrown my purpose at that point.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, what's the workout, the high intensity workout?
Yeah, the HIIT.
Yeah, the HIIT. which I don't do.
Me either.
But you work out really hard and then you take a break and or
Yes.
you do those things. So really for my career it was you and mom talked me into getting into real estate. She paid for my licensing. I took night classes, and I worked full time. And I didn't think I was going to do it. I was like, okay, fine, I'll do the classes, KK, whatever. And I fell in love with it. And so I did quit my job. And when I started out, I had no money. They were paying me to do their newsletters. So we folded newsletters, hundreds of them,
Thousands of them.
thousands of them, because we were farming at the time.
Yes.
And so I think you guys gave me a few months, and then I got my first deal right away, and that was it, right? Like I was off to the races, and it was really fun. And then after a while, the market changed. So this was back in '08 when the market tanked. And because I've always taken care of myself, because Kristen and I really have. We were expected to work at 16, pay your car insurance.
Right.
There was no excuse. It was all on me at the time, and so I wanted a fallback plan if this real estate gig was gonna implode. Like that was my mindset, was
Yes.
having something as a backup. My ex-husband and I at the time were both in sales, like commission,
Yes.
and it was just scary. So whenever I think about doing one thing, I'm like, all right, I want to, like, if you want to learn how to be a chef, like, how do you do that? You've got to go to school or do all these things. So I thought, well, maybe the federal government is a pretty stable place to have
Right.
a job,
A backup plan.
the backup plan. But the only way to get into the federal government is to either be in the government already, move around through the agencies, be an active military or vet,
Yeah.
or a student. That's it. So I decided to go get my MBA. And after the first semester, I started applying for internships. And I think I applied to I want to say 2,000 online. And I was getting no hits. And so I started going, like you and I are the same, like we don't give up. So I was
No.
like, well, screw it. I'm going to go to DC, next job fair. So I started going to job fairs face to face. And I met this one recruiter face to face. And we hit it off. And she put my resume on the top of the pile. And so I got an internship at the National Geospatial Intelligence Agency. They used to be the mapping agency. They're the ones that the analysts found bin Laden. So pretty cool. They offered me a
Yes.
contracts specialist position, but it was an internship. And it was a
Yes.
2-year internship up in Springfield, Virginia. And I was selling real estate on the weekends. As you know, you remember this.
Driving
And it
back
did.
and
It
forth.
hurt Kristen. It broke her heart that I was doing this. Because I think she felt like I was leaving her. And again, now that we're older, it's easier to say,
Yeah,
no, this
no,
person needs some growth, right?
It's about them. Yeah.
Well, but yeah, I was driving back and forth to DC, leaving at 3:30 in the morning, working and driving back. And I did that for 2 years. They offered me a job, and I politely declined it. And I needed that. I needed that to show me that I wanted to be in sales. I knew that I loved real estate. And then my ex-husband was in the mortgage industry at the time. And so I actually just begged his boss for a job. And I got an entry-level job with Prosperity.
Yes.
So you remember that?
Oh,
And
yes.
did that for a while. And is this too long?
No,
Okay.
we're talking. This is how it goes.
And so I love the mortgage industry. I would have stayed at Prosperity when we worked together. The only reason I left was just out of the divorce. When
Sure.
we decided to separate, it was just a really small, close-knit group of us, and I just felt like it was appropriate to separate myself at that point. Went to another mortgage company, did not like the company, and that was the time where you and Mom decided to just go back to real estate.
Yes.
You were managing at the time, and I think we were all kind of miserable where we were.
Definitely.
So getting
Yes.
realigned together was really fun, and coming back to mortgages, it was just always has been something I wanted to do. And meeting my now husband, who is the market leader for Richmond, it was the right time.
Sure.
And they just had changed their policy at Movement that they could let me keep my real estate license. So that was a big deal. I didn't want to give up everything I'd worked for.
No, not at all.
So a lot of back and forth, and now I can still use my license in a really cool way. we want to buy investment property, but I'll just
Yeah.
keep it just to have.
So talking about, so there's so much,
There's a lot.
so much to unpack there, but it's easy to gloss over some things that you said, but as your sister, and knowing your inspiring story, you've got to really think about what it's like to get in a car for 2 years, drive back and forth from Richmond to DC
Yeah.
to fulfill, a goal that you have. That's where, very quickly the excitement of change slips away,
Yeah.
and the real grind of that comes into play.
Yeah.
But, don't you think that's a skill set that is an essential skill set to have, especially if you own your own business like you and I have?
Yeah.
And it's also, it's a not a get rich quick method here. And that's something that, in sales, and this is, not a real estate podcast, but because this is what we've done, this is going to be a lot of the topic that we're talking about. In sales, there's volume numbers that people are putting out, right?
Sure. Yeah.
And we're about to hit that time of year next month, which I kind of dread. But we have to, in some ways, put out to our consumers, that we are our sales numbers, because it shows confidence in
Right.
what we do. But numbers are just numbers. And so profit's a totally different thing. And that's obviously, no one is advertising their profit, their take home.
Sure.
And it reminds me of, for anyone out there who is not hitting their goals immediately, whether you're in sales, whether you are working for a Fortune 500 company, you're a teacher, a nurse, what have you, everyone has metrics they're trying to reach and to achieve. This podcast is probably for you, because you and I have taken the, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but certainly has not been overnight success for neither one of us.
No, I mean, I'm in a rebuild phase for sure. And, this year for me has been one of because I just switched over from real estate to mortgage, was one of my worst real estate years. I had at least a dozen deals just dissipate. And that's real numbers. I mean, when I tell people, like, I lost probably $150,000 in income.
Yeah.
Like, most people couldn't survive that.
Right.
And so I think in sales, it just teaches you just to put your head down and just keep going. Or if this isn't working, figure out something that is. And so I think, whereas you are tried and true, you are real estate and you're so good at it, but that's easy to say, right? Like, you work your tail off. It's the same thing with driving to DC. Like, I knew that I had 2 years in me, that I could do it, and you just do it. Every day you get up and you drive to work and you do your job and you come home and you're like, all right, I've got another day to do that.
It's like choose your hard.
Choose your hard. Yeah, exactly. So that was like, I knew that I had to finish that program. I committed to that. So I think that's the thing is in real estate or mortgage or just in sales or in life, is you have to just get up every day and do it. I mean,
what you're saying, you talk about in sales,
we're only good as your last month. I say that a lot.
And
you work
about being unemployed.
Oh yeah, I mean, so the second that anyone goes under contract, I'm unemployed. That's it. I mean, we're going to get the transaction to closing, and that's a feat in itself. But yeah, once you have a client under contract, now I need to go out and find another client to get under contract. Same as a loan. Like, once I've locked them in and they've locked their interest rate, like, I got to keep rolling. So it's exciting for me now because I just started, and my sister and her team are supporting me in such incredible ways, and I'm watching my pipeline grow of pre-approvals.
You've earned that over the years. I mean,
Well, thank you,
we
but
can't forget you were a lender before.
well,
Yes.
of course, it helped other lenders get in
Yes.
the business, but yeah, just to see the pipeline grow and just be really hyper focused on that, because that's when that starts getting skinny. Like I don't, if your closings, you're like, oh, I'm closing 20 this month, which would be amazing, but you have 5 in your pipeline. That's scary.
There's this misnomer that is out there, especially in the fields that you and I are in, and that is, this is something that I've definitely had worked very, very hard to have someone say this, but you're so successful. But success is not a permanent place. And for us in the service and sales industry, not to beat a dead horse because we just talked about it, but we serve at our highest capacity. It is nothing but the consumer and protecting their best interest and trying to, complete the job that we were hired for. But then we are unemployed.
Correct.
And so that is a level of grit that real estate looks fun. It can be sexy. It can look, I get on to other folks in our industry for posting that they're multi-million-dollar producers. The business is nothing the way that it looks.
Right.
People think we drive fancy cars and show multi-million-dollar houses and cash million-dollar paychecks. And it's the furthest thing from the truth.
Yeah.
Just truthfully. I wish it was like that.
I know. Seriously.
But it's not.
No.
It's something very different.
No, and I always say it's a living, breathing thing, and we do have the privilege.
Yes.
And the burden of dealing with people's happiest and saddest moments.
We do.
And so those highs and lows, we're human too. So it can be so draining. I mean, you and I talk about getting home and just sitting and staring at the wall, or driving home in silence.
Yes.
It takes a lot out of us. We're a therapist. We are a financial advisor. We are a wealth builder. We are a marriage counselor. We're all of it.
So you're somebody that has, that's okay, we're in sales. If the phone isn't ringing, we're in trouble. We're in big trouble.
Spam.
If you're somebody who has, I don't know if this has been intentional or if it's if you've really worked on having this in your life, but you have boundaries, something that you have taught me over and over again. How do you think that is? How has that come about?
Yeah, well,
and how are you so good at it?
It's a great question. I think that anyone that is, if you've gone through something really tough in your life, and my tough was my divorce.
Yes.
And if you've walked away from a lot or lost a lot, you tend to read self-help books. You tend to go to therapy. If you're trying to better yourself, which I was. So I was just listening to everything I could. Obviously, Mel Robbins was a fantastic podcast.
You turned me on to Mel a long time ago.
Yeah,
before
Mel was great.
Yeah.
Oprah. I did all of that because I had a lot of soul searching. And from that, a big takeaway on all of those is boundaries. And so I think, at that point in my life, I was just starting to implement things. Like you hear things over and over again. You're like, yeah, I'm going to do it. I'm like, well, how can that hurt to just start implementing these practices? And I started really identifying toxic places in my life. And the boundary was a huge one. And so, and had in the dating world was not fun and had a really bad relationship and some bad friendships. So when you're trying to better yourself and you hear about boundaries, and it is hard, it is scary to cut someone out of your life. That's the boundary I've had to set for myself. And I will say I did that early on in my life too with some other people. I really do find myself identifying toxicity quick and trying to remove it because I can't flourish in a toxic environment.
Do you think you've always had a strong sense of self-worth, or is it something you fought hard for?
I think it's something I fought hard for. I was the wallflower in school,
Yeah.
wanted to be more, wanted to be heard more, and, you know, finally just started believing in myself. And like, look, we all get this one life. It's me. I'm like, who else is going to do it?
Yeah.
So the boundary piece is really cool, and I encourage anyone that's struggling with it to, obviously, if you haven't read it or listened to it, the let them theory is huge. It's not a new theory.
Right.
She's writing about it, because it really does free you to be who you're supposed to be and work on yourself versus get so caught up in everyone else's just BS.
Yeah, and I think the second step in the let them theory
Is let you.
is then let you.
Yeah, that's where I am.
And that's the let them is a lot easier for me than the let you. I can get behind let them.
Yeah.
You know, Kristen let them.
Yeah.
But then the second part, which to me
Gotta
is
work
the
on
real
you.
work,
Yeah.
is you.
Yeah.
That's the real work.
It's a great place to be though.
Yes.
And the more you get to do that and you're like, I feel so great, then the let them just keeps. Because I think a lot of times folks have a hard time, the boundary they can set, but they can't hold it.
Yes.
And I can hold it because usually if you set a boundary with someone that shouldn't be in your life, they're going to show you the real you. And then I'm like, aha, yeah, bye-bye. Family's very different. And Mel even talks about that. I mean, I can set little boundaries, but it's family, and I love my
Yes.
family, you know, and I want the best for my family. But I can also not get so involved because we're all going to do what we want to do.
Yeah. We're all
No matter if Casey thinks it's right or wrong, or you think it's right or wrong, or I think my version's better, like, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, we're all on our own version, our own journey.
Yeah.
In
And
this
I'm also
world.
married to someone that also believes in it. I have a fantastic partner, so do you.
Yes.
And that makes it a lot easier to like be a unified unit, like that believes in growth and positivity and removing that toxic stuff out of your life.
I think that's one of the most underrated, overlooked decisions that we make as human beings
It's
is
the most
our
important.
partner.
Yeah.
And, you know, I remember you and I talking about what it's like to have, you know, for us, it would be have a husband, but a partner.
Yeah.
And it's a, you know, the life is hard enough,
Yeah.
right? And I hate to be negative because I usually am positive, although I've been finding myself trying to, you know, you catch yourself being negative.
Yeah.
But the growth mindset, when you're in a relationship with someone who has a growth mindset, who is your biggest cheerleader, who is not a scorekeeper, right? Who is someone who has your back no matter what. It is the secret weapon behind success, which to me really translates to happiness.
Happiness or peace. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm with you. I mean, I have heard that before. It's the most important thing most important
Yes.
decision you ever make. And it's so true. It really is. And I think, you know, a lot of people even listening to this would be like, well, how do you find that person? Well, this is cliche, but you have to do it for yourself first. You have to love yourself the most, and then you'll start attracting people that are like you.
Yeah, and I think really knowing like I feel like I got really lucky because I was 19 when I met Brian.
Yeah.
But I will say that I have always had a strong self-worth
Yes.
inside.
Yes, you have.
And so I know I knew what I was willing to accept and
Yes.
what were negotiables and non-negotiables.
You are an old soul for sure. and you have, I mean, that is true. I mean, I was the party girl and the one that, wanted to do all the stuff. And it's just because there was a lot of insecurity there and trying to find myself. And you are like, nope, this is what I want. This is what I won't deal with.
And now,
And really confident in that
yes,
at
but
19.
the funny thing is, in my 40s, while I'm gaining confidence in certain areas, I think I'm in another like growth point, right? So which does make you question things and
Yeah.
reevaluate. But that, yeah, that's one thing. There's a lot of other things that I need therapy for, but that is one that I think I'm okay with. Is knowing,
You weren't going to let any guy mess with you.
no, really wasn't.
That's funny.
And I just had a dream, right?
Yeah.
I had a dream of things I wanted to do and what I was trying
Yeah.
to accomplish. And man, life looks different than what I thought it would, but in a good way.
Yeah.
It always kind of works out. So, I don't want to get into the specifics of the divorce because that's neither here nor there. But I think, you know, what what have you walked away with? Like, what was your greatest lesson from your divorce?
Finding myself again. I had lost myself. I was not honoring who I was, and it just started festering. And so when I got myself back, it was really cool. And I had a lot of friends say that, like, I got Casey back, like,
Yeah, I felt like that too.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, and that's, Billy's a great human being, is a wonderful father,
100%,
and we are
yes.
great co-parents. We are both so much better off. He's found his love and has 2 kids now, and I've met my love. Like we have a great situation now. Now at that time, you can't see it. Like you've built this life together, you've spent all this time together and all this money and
Yes.
yada yada yada. But my happiness was priceless, and so when I got myself back, it was just amazing. And you can do anything you want then.
And he wasn't happy either.
No,
right?
we both were unhappy.
So,
Yeah.
but I think, I brag about y'all all the time to people that ask me, how are you doing? How's your sister? There's some jaw-dropping things that I feel like that y'all have accomplished together. It's not every couple that divorces and gets remarried is capable of, taking their daughter to Disney World with all of
Yeah.
I mean, y'all probably really do set an incredibly high standard, but I know both of you obviously extremely well. From an outsider looking in, it looks very intentional. It didn't just happen.
Yeah, and when it is, I mean, because we both agreed, after all the bickering and splitting silly furniture and all that stuff, like, it had to be about, we have a child together.
Yes.
So it had to be about her. And I wasn't going to let anything get in the way of that. So, of course, it's intentional. The Disney thing was literally, we both were like, you're not taking her to Disney without me. And so, but we're lucky that we both have partners we're all, I think, pretty reasonable human beings. So we're lucky in that sense, because I do think there's a lot of situations where one party is super unreasonable or still spiteful. And that's unfortunate, because if you really do just put the best interests of that child, all the other decisions it's there. What's in the best interest of Allie? To see her
Yes.
2 parents and step parents happy,
Yeah.
and that they can communicate like adults.
Yes.
Go figure. And there's still some quippy moments. How could there not be?
You're humans.
Yeah, but I think we all coexist very nicely. So thank you. And we're
Yeah.
going to see Santa all together on Sunday. So
Yeah. I think it's a true testament to you both as human beings, and then your love for Allie,
yeah,
which is huge. So let's talk about being a mom. So, I never saw myself as a mom,
yeah,
and I am. And so Casey and I both became moms only 8 months apart. when Casey came to meet Anders, my little boy in the hospital, she was actually pregnant and I didn't know,
I just found out.
which is crazy fun. And so our kids are super close, which is not surprising. They look like twins.
You're the he is the tan one. She's the pale
We're
one.
both raising each other's kids, and personalities in some
Oh,
ways.
yeah.
It's hilarious. What has being a mom taught you about yourself?
Oh my gosh. I mean, it's something I never thought I wanted to be
I
because
yeah,
I was a very selfish person in the sense of my career.
same.
I did not want to give that up. I did
Right.
not want to give up my time, but it is the best thing that I've ever done. She's the greatest gift. She has given me a true sense of, I try to be more patient. So I can't say that's a lie that I'm not more patient because I'm not.
I try.
I try.
I try.
The wonderment watching her, just getting to be a version of myself. That's pretty cool. I don't know, like, because mom, had 4 kids, and I know that everyone blames, this and that about their childhood, and we razzle mom all the time about stuff. But how could she have time when she had 4?
I don't know
So
how she did it.
that is why I have one, and why I pour everything into her.
Yes.
Is being this version of a mom that I probably wanted.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think it's fair.
Yeah. And that doesn't, and then mom will probably say this and see this and be like, thanks. But it's not that there's anything bad. It's just I really enjoy all the wonderment of being a mom.
So it's interesting. Casey and I, so out of the 4 of us, 3 of us have 1 child. And then one of our brothers has 3.
Yeah.
And we had, my version of the childhood was it was a great childhood, a lot to, wonderful memories. Was it a perfect situation? Nope, it doesn't exist.
No, yeah.
But it was crazy fun. And we did a lot of fun stuff as a family. But I do think it's interesting. I don't know if it's because we waited till we were older or, you and I were both very career driven.
Yeah.
But, you have managed your career, and if our phones are not going off on this, then it's not authentic. It's not real. Mine's going off too. So, when you think about being a mom, and you were a single mom for a while on top of it, in real estate, which is a job that is all encompassing. I saw you do something that I think some people don't have the guts to do, and that is draw huge boundaries. It's back to that boundary conversation again, having Allie. And, talk to me about, think about this. Like, you're a single mom, we only eat when we serve people and close, and yet you have some sort of balance.
Like with my clients or
Yeah.
I know first when I had her and I was still married to Billy, I did take a big step back.
Yes.
I think it's just I knew in my head that I was only going to have one, and so every moment
Yeah.
is gone.
I feel the same way. Yes.
And so there's no negotiating when it comes to time with her.
Yeah.
And I found that it's like anything, any practice that you start with your job. Like, I know you're getting so great with your clients and, being really firm about certain things. Once you start you're firm about that, no one really says anything. So
Yeah.
I had just made it a point where when I have time with her, and especially after the divorce, and now I have her 50% of the time, there is
Yes.
no negotiating. That is my time with her. I will take a phone call, but we're going to schedule a time to meet face to face when I'm not with her. And that's why I would pack in my days. And I would intentionally do that every week. And clients wouldn't even know it. Like, hey, can you meet Tuesday? No, can we meet Wednesday? I mean, why do they need to know if?
Right.
So I was, that is, I think a lot of it is You are not, and Josh says this a lot, and I believe it. We are not going to be on our deathbed saying, I wish I had taken that client's phone call.
No, we are not.
I'm going to say,
We are not.
I can't believe I missed her dance recital.
Yes,
I
that's right.
refuse to do that.
Me too.
So,
Yeah.
and there'll be times where, I mean, there has been times, and it kills me to not be with her. I mean, I brought her to a Christmas party last night.
Well, yes. Well, our kids are very well versed in all things real estate. They're just waiting to turn 18 and pass their test, and then they'll be right in. I don't think there's any sort of I think, I don't even know what I'm trying to say other than they are mini real estate agents.
They're just mini us.
Yes, that's the truth.
They like being in the know. They like Allie and Anders. They want to be there.
They're in the back seat taking calls, giving
And they're
counsel.
proud. I think really what it is, and I hear that in Allie's voice, and I know that sounds so much like us talking about mom and dad, and especially with like Golf Samaritans and things like that, is just that pride. She'll ask me questions like, well, when you sold a house, you know, or when you did a mortgage, like she wants to know, and they're just proud.
These are the same kids that asked if photos were in black and white.
Oh yeah,
when
last
we were
night.
little. They have no concept of time, but they are proud of us. What do Allie was very little, but yet she's definitely, watched you reinvent yourself. And I think reinventing yourself is a gorgeous thing to be able to display to a child.
Yeah.
Do you think she's aware?
Yeah, I mean, I specifically am extremely open with her about the divorce. Nothing disparaging, but
No.
she doesn't remember anything.
Yes.
She was 2.5 when we separated, but she talks about it now. Like, I see pictures, but I don't remember. And then, I tell her like how I feel. Like we have therapy sessions almost every night, even though she goes to therapy.
Yeah.
I think she's aware. Yeah. I mean, my biggest thing and the reason why I wanted to get divorced and be myself again is to show my child what a happy parent looks like.
Yeah. It's incredibly important to model that.
That was it for me, was I couldn't have her being raised in an environment where I was miserable.
Yeah.
And then like to her, that's okay. And now when Allie, go out and find a relationship of my own, well, you're going to be miserable. That's what it is. And I didn't want her to have that idea of what relationships look like.
And it's not just the divorce, obviously, because that doesn't define you. That's just a tiny chapter in your life. But, moving from real estate to lending, you know, they catch on to,
she
know
knows all of
exactly
it.
what's going on.
Yeah, and I told her, in the mortgage world, if you hit a certain number, you go on what's called President's Club, and it's a trip to some sort of tropical location.
Yes.
Every mortgage company does it.
Yes.
So her first thing was, do I get to go to President's Club with you?
What's in it for me, Mom?
Yeah.
What's in it for me?
So she was excited.
So,
But I think it is, yeah, I mean, I haven't really thought of it that way, other than just teaching her, like, just don't settle for less, go follow your dreams, do what you want to do. You might pivot left and it's wrong, and then you learned a lesson, you don't know.
So, we've talked about, you say you're in rebuilding and still in growth mode 100%, which I would imagine, any of us are that's in our 40s. This is kind of where it's always been really serious, but now it's, at least for me, the gravity of the fact that I'm midlife is starting to really catch up with me. But you've done some, amazing things too, really amazing things. You and Josh just bought a house on the water a year or so ago. Total dream come true. There's lots of people out there that have that on their dream board for sure.
Yeah.
How do you balance having a career that's nonstop? You're a mom. You're a new wife. How do you balance it all?
it doesn't seem that hard, only because whenever I think about anything like that, I can go back to like, well, you did this. Like, this is nothing.
Your stack of proof.
Yeah. But as far as, buying the house on the water, and we just talked about this the other night, I mean, the only way we could have ever done it is real estate,
Yeah.
owning real estate,
Yeah.
which I have some really cool PowerPoint presentations for the team to go out and present to clients about how to build wealth and to make millionaires. And that's
Sure.
really our, part of our job. But yeah, having that house has been awesome. It's taught me like, and I guess because I was so used to being a little transient from divorce and moving, and I've moved 4 or 5 times. And so going back and forth on the weekends has been fun. It's exhausting. And it's also the catalyst to why I went back to lending.
Sure.
So that I could still work like crazy, but not physically be with clients. Because that
which
was
real estate demands.
and the agents that, especially you right now with all your buyers, I mean, it's a grind, and it's a physical in the car and with them every day. And we were walking the dog this summer at the river, and I had to go like in an hour to go show a house, which I was fine to do, but that was where I was like, you know what, I have this other skill set. I'm ready to come back.
But it seems easy to say that, but it's the average person would have stayed stuck. There's
Sure.
this theme that
Sure.
I see. You and I have had, the greatest privilege, I think, of people trusting us with their chapters of their lives.
Yeah.
We sit in front of people. We sit at their kitchen tables, their dining room tables, and we get to hear it all. And a lot of times, the folks that we encounter are stuck.
Yeah.
They're stuck. They're stuck emotionally. They're stuck mentally. They're stuck financially.
Yeah.
But you and I don't have that. We always have that. It's figure outable. You not happy, we're going to figure out how to be happy. I think it's more than just a walk. It's this is the feeling I'm having. This is the way that I'm not living my life the way I want to live it.
Yeah.
And then the big step is
The action.
so what are you going to do about it?
Right. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, you haven't been divorced. You haven't
No,
had
I
like
haven't
a
had to
major
go through
life
it.
decision like that. But I think anyone that has catapulted themselves into something else, there's been some major life disruptor, I think.
Yeah.
Could be. And when you have lost it all, you're like, whatever. But no, I mean, it's the same way. And I think we've also went back to, and I think most real estate agents can say this, is once you've owned your own business, you kind of feel invincible. Like you could do anything.
That's
So
how I felt after I had Anders.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Yeah. I had some morphine, so yeah, felt pretty great. But yeah, so I think a lot of agents do feel like they can start other businesses because they're not so afraid of failure.
I think the failure is the secret ingredient.
Well, you're failing all the time,
Yeah,
so there's nothing to be afraid of. It's not that scary.
because rejection is part of the
Yeah.
normal day to day of what we do
Right.
in sales. And
Tell me no. It's just one step closer to yes.
yeah, and I think it's that like you fall down, you get back up. It's that like
Yeah.
keep the momentum going, keep pulling yourself back up. And I think it takes a while, and I think it takes a very certain type of person to get back up on the horse every time
Yeah.
after you've been kicked off.
I don't have a choice.
Same.
And I think that's the big one you and I talk about a lot. Like,
Yes.
there's no fallback plan.
No.
Like, it's me.
Yeah.
And so when you don't have that choice and you don't have that parachute to fall back, you just have to keep going.
Yeah, I would agree with that 100%. I think the reason I've tried a lot of things in real estate, of which I'm grateful for the fact that
Yeah.
I tried. uh, and was very fulfilled. I mean, one of the biggest things I did was go into management,
Yeah.
which I never would have done without your. I don't know if you remember you and Billy standing in Mom and Dad's house saying you should apply for the job.
Yeah, I remember calling you.
Yes, and I did, and it was a phenomenal experience for me to lead a big real estate office.
Yeah.
But um, I went back into sales full time after just shy of 2 years because it's what my family needed me to do.
And you were
And-
miserable in a certain capacity.
And I had to make a change.
And your leadership wasn't good.
Right. So a change was coming. A
Yeah.
change was going to happen. You know, when you work for yourself for so long, you're almost, I think I'm ruined in
Oh,
some
yeah.
ways because
When someone tries to tell you what to do, you're like,
that's not going to work out.
okay,
Yes.
sit down.
Other than my clients, right?
Well,
That's
right.
different because I
Yeah.
work for my clients. It's
Yeah, we don't clock in and clock out.
no, there's none of that.
I
There's
don't even know
none
if there's
of
a
it.
clock out, but
Yeah, but I'm also not somebody that, so I don't know if I've had a backup plan either. It's just always been,
you work.
I work, I enjoy what I do, I am fully fulfilled by helping people. There is no doubt.